It's time to talk about one of the most important things you can do to skyrocket your students' language learning, maximizing their exposure to the target language. And no, I'm not talking about just playing some background music or putting up posters with vocabulary words. I'm talking about creating an immersive environment where your students are constantly surrounded by the language they're trying to learn. So, how do you do it? First things first, you need to make a commitment to using the target language as much as possible during your lessons. That means from the moment your students walk in the door to the moment they leave, you're speaking, listening, reading, and writing in the language you're teaching. And yes, that includes giving instructions, explaining grammar concepts, and even just chatting with your students. Will it be challenging at first? Of course. But the more you do it, the more natural it'll become, and the more your students will benefit. But just using the language yourself isn't enough. You need to get your students using it too. One of the best ways to do that is through interactive activities that require them to communicate with each other in the target language. For example, instead of just lecturing about the past tense, have your students work in pairs to tell each other stories about their childhood using those verb forms. Or, if you're teaching adjectives, have them play a game where they take turns describing objects in the room and guessing what their partner is describing. The key is to make it fun, engaging, and most importantly, communicative. Because at the end of the day, that's what language learning is all about, being able to use the language to connect with others and express yourself. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but what about my beginners? They don't have enough language yet to communicate fully in the target language. And you're right, they don't. But that doesn't mean you can't still create an immersive environment for them. Use gestures, visual aids, and simplified language to help them understand and communicate. And when they do need to use their native language, encourage them to use it only when absolutely necessary and to switch back to the target language as soon as possible. Over time, as their proficiency grows, you can gradually increase the complexity of the language you're using and the tasks you're asking them to complete. So there you have it, 3 concrete strategies for maximizing your students' exposure to the target language in class. But don't just take my word for it. Try them out in your own classroom and see the results for yourself. Your students will be amazed at how quickly their language skills improve, and you'll be well on your way to becoming the language teaching rockstar you were always meant to be. Happy comprehensible input.